Hi guys, welcome back to my video. Let's go through Nishiyama's game where she played double ranging rook match. And Nishiyama plays black and she shows one of her favorite structures right here, and it's white's turn, and white also shows interesting move here, that is go to 7-2, intentionally creating peace wall right here. Apparently, this type of move has been trend in professional world, and white can play silver to a2 as well, creating like a reversed position of double wing rook strategy, and that's very practical because static rook tactics are very applicable to double ranging rook match, so it makes sense. But it didn't go that way, and Nishiyama pushes the edge pawn, and white plays silver to 6-2 instead, aiming for quick castling. And Nishiyama plays silver to 7-7. Fukuma also likes this idea, and both players pushed the edge pawns and pawn to 5-4, and Nishiyama advances a silver. I also talked about this strategy long ago, so if you are interested in so please go back to the video, and I will also put a link in the description. And go to 5-2, and Nishiyama takes over the rank, and white decides to exchange pawns, and pawn takes it, rook takes it, and pawn drop to 7, and it goes back to 2-5. It prevents the silver from advancing either way, so it's a good idea, and Nishiyama pushes this pawn, and pawn to 6-4, and Nishiyama targets the pawn. Now white creates this zigzag structure. I personally like this structure because it gives you the stability against piece drop, and the king can go either way because the structure is very solid, so it gives you more freedom. And Nishiyama decides to put more pressure on the pawn by silver to 7-5, and she doesn't care the presence of the rook, and bishop to 4-2, and Nishiyama sacrificed the pawn. So Nishiyama can offer rook trade whenever she wants, but she actually did it right after the sack, and white has to accept it. Pawn retakes, and white decided to drop the freshly taken piece to only defend, and bishop to 8-8, knight to 3-3, pawn drop, and silver to 3-2. Now this pawn is loose, so Nishiyama decided to defend it before actually going further. Pawn to 4-6, and silver to 8-6. This is also important because the silver isn't working well, and at least Nishiyama needed to defend it because this is loose, right? So she played silver to a6 to connect it with the pawn. And finally, white's king gets up and goes to 6-2. And then Nishiyama creates a silver crown. And officially, white is running out of moves, so white decided to wait by rook to 2-1. But that encouraged Nishiyama to attack the edge pawn because now the knight is gone, right? Also, white just played rook to 2-1, so the edge square is significantly weakened. So she pushed the edge pawn, and pawn takes, and actually lance recaptured. If white takes it, then rook drop to 1-2, creating a fork is possible. So white didn't take it, and white actually played pawn drop to 1-2, and all of a sudden Nishiyama sacrificed the pawn. If gold takes it, the white's defense gets ugly, right? So it's more natural to take it by the silver. And then something remarkable happened. Nishiyama dropped this rook to 1-9 to focus more on the square. Now it's the weakest square, right? So it's reasonable to do that. If rook goes up to 2-2 to defend the square, Nishiyama simply can keep going by pawn drop. If pawn takes and lance promotion, lance recaptures, and rook promotion, right? So Nishiyama will be able to break through the edge anyway. So right here, white is in trouble, and white decided to keep attacking. But Nishiyama's attack is faster and stronger, and white ignores the promotion and took the pawn. But then silver comes out, and there is no effective follow-up for white. This would be the only and the reasonable way to keep attacking, but Nishiyama ignores it and took the lance. White took the silver and promoted lance to 2-1. Now white is severely lacking offensive pieces, so Nishiyama is already winning. White drops the silver to for 7, but against Nishiyama ignores the drop and promoted the rook. To me, as a mature player, this was a little bit scary move because she gives up the general, right? And the defense-wise, black is weaker, and this the presence of the pawn is also annoying. So I would hesitate to promote the rook. At least I would think for a second, to be honest. So this was amazing, and as predicted, white took the gold, and Nishiyama defended by the pawn drop. Gold dropped to 2-7, and rook dropped to 4-1, and attacking the bishop. So now the king is kind of confined into the small space, so white decided to open up the line in order to escape. And Nishiyama took the knight and pawn push to 6-5. And knight drop to 1-9, attacking the gold and asking, please take the gold so my king can escape. And she took the gold and king takes. Knight to 5, but that's okay because white has been playing cluelessly, and this is kind of a desperate attack and it poses no threat. So Nishiyama ignored the jump and took the bishop by the dragon. Gold takes and bishop drop to 5-1, trying to create a mating position. And king runs, bishop promotion, and king takes. Now take a look at this bishop. It's looking at all the way, and these squares, and Nishiyama dropped the gold to 3-3. King runs and go to 4-3. If king takes it, it's going to be checkmated. For example, like this. If the king goes back, gold drop, right? And if king runs like that, then dragon to 3-1 would be strong. And something like this will happen. So it's a mate. So that's why white didn't want to take it, but it's going to be good for Nishiyama anyway. And Nishiyama dropped the silver onto the pawn's head. Pawn takes and silver takes and king takes. And this time the bishop comes out to the left like this, attacking the king. And go drop to 8-6. King runs, go to 7-5. Obviously, if king takes the pawn, is a checkmate, right? So king has to run. Then Nishiyama doesn't stop and drop the lance. King runs, and lance takes the gold, and silver takes gold drop. And this is where white resigned. I like Nishiyama because she's a smart person and doesn't rely on AI based on what I read in her book. Obviously, she plays third file rook and double ranging rook a lot, but more importantly, I prefer human nature. That's what makes shogi more memorable and exciting, right? That's all for this video, and I hope it's been helpful and fun. As always, thanks for watching and your support. See you guys next time soon. Bye.